From Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee, this is Hope for the Caregiver, the nation's #1 show for the family caregiver. I am Peter Rosenberger, bringing you 3 decades of experience to help you stay strong and healthy as you take care of someone who is not. Why is that important? Well, guess what? If you're not healthy as a caregiver, what's going to happen to the person you're taking care of? How does that work? It's a 2-for-1 deal. This show is about strengthening you, equipping you, encouraging you, empowering you, reaching you to say it's okay for you to be healthy, because healthy caregivers make better caregivers. And today is a great day to start being a healthy caregiver. I don't care what happened last week. That's gone, or yesterday. But today we get to start all over again, and let's make it a great one for both of us. Hey, if you want to be on the show, it's easy to do. Here's the number, 877-655-6755, 877-655-6755. Don't wait till the end of the show to call in, because that really torques John. And speaking of torqued, here he is. He's the Baron of the Board, the Sultan of Sound, the Earl of Engineering, the man who considers himself the care package. He is John Butler, the Count of Mighty Disco, everyone.
I don't know how to respond to that. I mean, but thank you as always for your lovely litany of titles.
Well,
and just, oh man, it is great to be here, Peter. How you doing?
For a man of my age,
well,
and limited abilities, I'm doing okay.
We allow for a couple of things here.
And listen, by the way, if folks are watching on Facebook Live, you can go to Hope for the Caregiver on Facebook Live. Okay. And you can also go to hopeforthecaregiver.com is the website. And then the YouTube channel is, wait a minute, hold on, Hope for the Caregiver.
Don't change things up on me, man.
And then we podcast the show. And you know how easy it is to remember our podcast name? It's caregiverpodcast.com. I came up with the easiest name I could think of to help people. What if there was only a caregiver podcast? Caregiverpodcast.com. And we put the show out there. We do all of these things for you because we want to make sure you have all the information that you could possibly have to be a stronger, healthier caregiver. And we are so glad that you're with us. Again, that number is 877-655-6755. That will go to our call screener, Ed, first, who's out in Dallas. And I want to give a big shout out to him. The man serves in silence. And he doesn't get nearly enough credit because he's a great guy.
Oh, absolutely. And makes the show nice and smooth.
He does. He does a great job out there. So Ed, thank you very much. And all right, now look, John.
He's laughing at me over the text thing right now.
All right, before we get into the meat of the show, I got to tell you something. We're going to try something. We're not promising.
Does it involve steak?
No.
I'm sorry, I heard meat. That's
We're going to try something, and we're not promising, but we're hoping that we can pull this off. John and I are going to have a meeting this afternoon with top men, and we're going to try to make sure that we can do this because I'm going to Africa on Friday with Standing with Hope, and we'll get to that in just a minute. We're going to try to do the first transatlantic live show next Sunday.
Intercontinental
live show for the family caregiver. We're going to try it. We can't promise, so don't hold us to it, but we're going to give it everything we've got, just like Scotty does on the Enterprise.
There you go. Well, I was going to say it's the transatlantic thing. Are we gonna do it all in transatlantic accents? Is that how we're going to do this?
If we must.
Okay.
If we must
channel some
stop.
I just work here, man.
Is that what we're calling it?
Is that what we're calling it?
But we're going to try. We can't promise, but it would be a banner day because I've got the equipment to do it, and we're going to take it over there. We're going to set it up at the hotel. Now, I'll be 5 hours ahead of Nashville, so I'll be doing it at 8 o'clock Central Time I mean, 8 o'clock in the evening over there. It'll be 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I was
Central.
told there would be no math.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a little weird, but we're gonna try to do it. A live intercontinental show for the family caregiver. How cool is that? I mean, go ahead, just give yourself a round of applause, John, because if you pull this off. Gracie just posted on Facebook Live that we're continental caregivers.
That is delightful.
It kind of makes me think of the Continental with who's the actor that everybody always imitates? Hello.
Walken.
Yeah, remember that skit he did on the Continent. Now back to the Continental. All right, listen. We're changing up some things today. Our caregiver tip of the day is tardy.
Hey, I don't feel tardy.
I don't feel tardy. Our caregiver tip of the day is brought to you by Standing with Hope today. Standing with Hope is bringing the caregiver. And now here's the caregiver tip of the day. Take a step of faith that there may be something going on with your situation that you're not seeing that has positive implications for your life. Now, that's a long tip, but take a step of faith. Now, let me give you the context of this, because this is brought to you by Standing with Hope. Several years back in Ghana, when we were doing our prosthetic limb outreach, we were treating a man named KWAME. KWAME came in. He was 70 years old. He was a farmer and lost his leg through diabetes. And this is a prosthetic limb outreach that Gracie envisioned after she gave up both of her legs. And this was her last trip to Ghana. She's been so sick for the last several years, she hadn't been able to go back. But on her last trip, this is what happened. KWAME came in and we put a leg on him. And he was mad the whole time. I mean, and it's a 2-day process with a below knee amputee. So we have to come in and fit him and all that kind of stuff. But he was so mad, he couldn't see any benefit to this. He was mad at God and everything else, just like we all have kind of been there at some point in our life. And KWAME was really struggling with this. Everybody tried to talk to him, even Gracie, and just got nowhere with the guy. He just wanted to be mad, but we kept putting a leg on him. I know the conversation sounds a little weird. I know
this is a bit odd, but I imagine like dinner time conversations around your house.
Just go with it. Go with it. My wife is a double amputee. Go with it. Okay. We have a prosthetic limb ministry. Go with it. So KWAME's sitting there, and at the end, I'm talking to KWAME. He's already gotten his leg. It's all finished now, and he is walking. He's literally now able to walk with this prosthesis that we built for him with Standing with Hope. And part of what we do at Standing with Hope is we recycle prosthetic limbs. They go into a local prison here in Tennessee run by Core Civic. It's a faith-based program they have where inmates strip down all these legs that come in, and then we recycle the parts. So the feet, the knees, the pylons, and so forth. So we'll take a lot of these parts. We'll take all these parts that are usable over there to Africa. We ship them over there regularly. And I looked down at the foot that we put on KWAME, and it was a high-performance foot. It was a very, very nice foot, and I recognized that foot. I knew that foot, John. I recognized the foot.
You did.
Because that foot belonged to Gracie. It was one of her feet that she had given to her own ministry to do this. And we put Gracie's foot on KWAME. And it's a very nice foot. And Gracie, you got nice feet, baby. So I looked at KWAME and I said to him, KWAME, I know you're angry about what has happened to you. And I get that. You're angry at God, you're angry at life, all that kind of stuff. And then I pointed to Gracie, who was across the room, and I said, but you see that woman over there? She lost both of her legs, and she's taking a leap of faith that somehow God is going to use this nonsense in her life, that what the world sees as loss and tragedy and just, oh my goodness, what in the world, 80 surgeries, all this stuff, and use it for good. And she trusted it. And now you're literally walking on her faith with her foot. That's her foot you're wearing. You are literally walking every step you take on her faith. And at that point, KWAME just looked at me and broke into this huge grin, and he just got it. He just got it. And he stood up and he just walked out. I said, KWAME, every step you take, you remember that this woman over here trusted God. Where you've been angry, she trusted. And now look at the difference. And he said, would you pray with me? And I said, absolutely. That's the leap of faith I'm asking each of us to take, that we're dealing with stuff in our life that is just uncool at times. It's unpleasant. Nobody likes it. You know, people always give you those platitudes. Well, God won't put on you more than you can handle. I don't know that I really agree with that. I think that that's a verse about temptation. I think God puts on us lots of things that we can't handle, but he can handle it. And that's what I'm asking you to take a leap of faith, that the things that you're burdened down with today, you're taking care of somebody who maybe is just ugly to you. Your heart is broken. You're frustrated. You're angry yourself. You are despairing, all these kinds of things. And I'm asking you, would you be willing to take just a tiny step of faith to realize there may be more going on than just the immediate discomfort, unpleasantness, sorrow, and all the things that you're carrying? Anybody else tell you that? You may be skeptical. But I've been watching a woman suffer for 32 years through a lot of crap. Just unpleasant stuff. Still is. And she's going to go and get in a plane and sit for 10, 11 hours, I think, from JFK to Accra, to go over there and let other people know that God hasn't abandoned her, and he certainly hasn't abandoned them. Take a leap of faith, just a tiny leap of faith, that maybe something going on in your life with all the stuff that you're dealing with, you can't see it right now. You maybe just can't see it. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't see it. And I'm asking you for that. Okay? And if you want to see more about that, go to standingwithhope.com. Standingwithhope.com. Just look at it. Just look at the pictures. Look at what's going on and see how you can be a part of this. You may not be able to go to Africa with us this week, but you can help send those who are. We got a team of 6 going, and they could use your help. We got to buy some. I found out today I got to buy some more supplies. Gerald is watching on Facebook Live. He's one of our prosthetists going, and guess what, Gerald? Save some space in your suitcase, because I'm going to be ordering some prosthetic supplies that are coming to your house. So get ready, because you got to be carrying some stuff over there. Help us do that. Standingwithhope.com. Hey, this is Hope for the Caregiver. This is the nation's #1 show for the family caregiver. We're so glad you're with us. Take a leap of faith that, you know what? You're going to be okay in this. You can do this. I promise you can. And we're going to show you how. We're going to talk about it some more. We got a great guest at the bottom of the hour. Lots more to go. We'll be right back.
We're gonna rock this town, rock it inside out. We're gonna rock this town, make them scream and shout. Let's rock, rock, rock and rock. We're gonna rock till we pop. We're gonna rock till we drop. We're gonna rock this town, rock it inside out.
Welcome back to the show for caregivers, about caregivers, hosted by a caregiver. This is the nation's #1 show for the family caregiver. I am Peter Rosenberger, bringing you more than 3 decades of experience to help you stay strong and healthy to rock this town. And that's important to us as caregivers. You know, I don't particularly enjoy the stereotype of caregivers that we're all just kind of sitting there in some kind of Sunnyvale nursing home or whatever.
Well, you're a pretty mopey dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He said, dripping with sarcasm.
You know, we live life. We can live life raucously if we choose to. We don't have to be condemned to this. And I know, I mean, you can be as miserable as happy as you choose to be. So thank you for all that. For John plays do we not have the best bumper music?
Well,
I mean,
I'm a little biased.
Yes,
but,
you are.
know.
And you should be, but it's just awesome what you do. And for those of you who get to watching on Facebook Live, you get to hear how the sausage is made a little bit, and because we have a lot of dialogue during the break. But hey, listen, I've got a special treat for you today. By the way, if you want to be on the show, excuse me for a minute. For some reason, I'm just cottonmouth today, John.
Well, you were out in Florida.
Well, I was out in Florida.
Yeah.
I was last week. Oh, I got to tell y'all.
All right.
This is funny. Gracie and I got away to Florida. We were trying to do the show live last week from Florida, but we ran into some technical difficulties, and here we're going to try to do it in Ghana next week. But, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But Gracie and I went down to Florida. That's where she's from, and we were at her parents' home, and we just had a little change of scenery, and we went out on jet skis.
Okay.
My wife's a double amputee.
Yes.
She left her legs at the dock.
Well, I was going to ask.
Okay, she
like,
left
are
her.
they like glasses?
No, she's actually worn legs out in the Gulf, but it took a while to get them all cleaned up. And her process said they will rust. Not all the leg part will, but some of them will. And he said, don't do it again. So she took them off, and she's out riding around, and she gets pulled over by the Marine Patrol.
Oh no,
she did. If I'm lying, I'm dying. She really did. And she was very serious. And the guy pulled up, and she was doing basically too fast by the Destin Bridge there in Fort Walton area. And there was not supposed to be a wake, and he pulled her over, and you could just see on his face, and I was a little bit from her, but you could see that he was stunned. He didn't know what to say. And I bet he's telling his family this for the rest of their life. And
I told her to take the foot off the gas.
Well, but the thing is, she was very serious. She's like, "Yes, officer. I'm sorry, sir."
Of course, yeah, because Gracie's.
But I told her though. I said, "You should have said, I'm trying to outrun this shark. Look what he did." But she said, "I don't do things like that. You're kind of a nut, but." Anyway, I just
and bless her for putting up with you, by the way.
If you get pulled over for speeding and you're a double amputee on a jet ski, that's kind of cool. All right, let's get to our today's senior moment.
I don't need your rocking chair.
All right, our senior. I got two today. I'm doing two senior moments today.
Okay.
I got a little bonus senior moment.
A bonus moment.
The first one is brought to you by our friends at Morning Point and Morning Point Senior Living and Memory Care. That's morningpoint.com, and that's point with an E. I want you to go to their website. I want you to check these folks out because they do a magnificent job, and they have satellite places all over. I mean, not satellite places. They have facilities all over the Southeast here, and I want you to go check them out. Morning Point Senior Living and Memory Care. Please take a look, morningpoint.com, and that's point with an E. The first one is, because on Tuesday I have an appointment, go see your dentist.
Yes.
John's mother is a dental hygienist, and she drilled in him, no pun intended, the importance of dental care. And I've been reading more and more articles about aging individuals who are not taking good care of themselves, and you open yourself up to all kinds of infections and everything else. And it's not just to have nice white pearly whites, it's to have good health.
Yeah, you can particularly with the heart, actually, poor oral hygiene can really aggravate some cardiac issues. It's weird.
It can, and you don't want to be gumming your food. Okay. Yeah. And so just I'm asking you as a caregiver, take care of your own teeth. Just the ones you want to keep. The ones you don't want to keep, don't worry about it. But if you want to keep your teeth, and my friend Hank told me he met James Brown a couple of times, and James Brown didn't age for a lengthy period of time.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely a vampire.
And so and Hank said to him, he said, "James, you look the same you did 25 years ago." And James Brown literally said this. This is my best James Brown imitation. He says, "Well, Hank, if you got your hair and you got your teeth, you're all right."
Oh, my man.
So that's my best James Brown for today. Go see your dentist. And the second one is, I got to give a shout out to the folks at Hiller, the Happy Hiller Club. This is a local thing here in the Middle Tennessee area and northern Alabama. But I had 3 Hiller people over at my house this week doing my regular maintenance on my home to look at stuff. I mean, this is part of the club price. So I pay a little monthly fee. It's like, I don't know, $8, $9, $10 a month. Mm-hmm. But they come over and check everything. If you call the show, by the way, and you live in the Middle Tennessee area and you're not a part of the Happy Hiller Club, guess what? I'll give you a free membership because it's worth it to make sure that your plumbing and that your electrical work, your air conditioning unit, all that stuff is in working order. Okay? When's a good time for your plumbing to go out? When's a good time for you to discover that your air conditioner going out? It's kind of hot. So Happy Hiller Club, and they've been a great sponsor of the show for a long time. If you call, I'll give you a free Hiller Club membership. 877-655-6755 is the number. Hey, don't go away. We'll be right back. We got a great guest coming in the next section. You're going to love this lady, Suzanne White. This is Hope for the Caregiver. This is the nation's #1 show for the caregiver. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show for caregivers, about caregivers, hosted by a caregiver. I am Peter Rosenberger, bringing you 3 decades of experience. That's not 1, that's not 2, but that's 3 decades of experience to help you stay strong and healthy as you take care of someone who's not. I love that song because it is a perfect description of our guest today. Her name is Suzanne White. She is a Jersey girl who lives in Brooklyn. She is her website is caregiverwarrior.com. She is a warrior, and we are thrilled to have her with us. Suzanne, you with us?
I am indeed.
Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Peter. It's an honor to be here.
I sought you out because I've been following you on Twitter for so long now, and I love your post. I love your passion to get out there and really take it to this issue from a fighter standpoint. We're not just passive. We're not just trying to get through it, but we're going to actually gain some ground. And I love, here's a quote that you have on your website. I love this. It says, "Caregiving is like going to war. Every day we fight to keep our loved ones safe and supported with dignity. Like a warrior, caregivers are fearless, courageous, and passionate about protecting those that they care for." And I love that. Tell us a little bit about your story, your background, how this came to be for you.
I had the wonderful opportunity, and thank you so much for that quote. I do believe we're warriors, and I think that caregivers are just amazing people. And I think often we come to caregiving not expecting to. My dad was a World War II bombardier, 6-foot-tall guy, and my mom was a little Spitfire Irish Catholic. And they were navigating their early 80s really well. We had no idea that my mom was showing signs of early dementia. They were doing a great job of hiding it. My dad was a caregiver warrior himself, and one holiday season when he was coming to meet us all for the holidays, he had to be taken off a plane in a wheelchair. I got a call from my sister, and they said, they took Daddy off a plane in a wheelchair. And I said, what? And that's when it started. I began to realize that my dad was burnt out and exhausted, and my mom was showing pretty serious signs of early dementia. So I stepped in and I said, "Dad, do you want me to help you? You want some help?" And he said, "Yes, so fast." I said, "Okay." And that was it. Not knowing what it would mean, I just showed up.
Well, you didn't, when you showed up, you had an unexpected reaction from your mother, didn't you?
I did indeed. Well, unexpected in that it was expected in that she was a very proud, feisty woman who ruled the roost. And I knew that me taking over wasn't going to be something she would be easy with, but her violent reaction really did, her anger and the violence around the fact that she did not want my help. It kind of took me back a little bit.
Well, now, was your dad covering for your mother and her dementia?
They were, yeah, absolutely. And I think as some of us know, I think that they do that. I think people hide symptoms because of fear and pride. Yeah, the two of them worked really well together. They were extremely close, and the two of them worked really well together to hide the fact that they were both needing a lot of help and assistance. So
instead of, shrinking away, you just rolled up your sleeves and jumped into this with great courage and conviction. And talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think those of us who are caregivers, and you know this, I think caregivers are hardwired to be caregivers. I think we come here this way. And I think that I've spoken to so many caregivers, and they say, well, of course I took care of my loved one. Of course I took care, because that's what we do. I mean, we don't think about it. We show up. I mean, that's what caregivers do. I think that we're people that want to be there for those that need us. And I didn't have a problem showing up or rolling my sleeves up. What I did have a bit of an issue with, and you'll probably help me and agree with me on this, is I didn't realize what I was in for. And I got to a point where I thought, well, I can be really miserable doing this, or I can make this a journey. And that was a turning point for me.
Well, and we say a lot on this show, you're as miserable or as happy as you choose to be. And
I love that.
And that's, I see a lot of caregivers who feel like they're condemned to be miserable in this. And I say, no, you don't have to be. You really don't. But it does take work to not be miserable. It's a lot easier to just go ahead and be miserable. And
well, sure. And misery loves company. So, I mean, it's something that sadly people around us will listen to us complain. And I didn't want to do that with my life. I had a funny feeling in my gut that this was going to be the greatest thing I would ever do in my life. And it turned out that way. So I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss a minute of it. As dirty and as grady as it was, I was going to be there.
Well, your dad he was a soldier. And your mom was feisty, but how much of that warrior thing that you've adopted came from him, came from them? Were you like this prior to this as a caregiver? Were you pretty tough, or did it bring it out in you, or how did that work?
No, I think that I'm tough. I think that my dad has a quiet command. I think he had a quiet command in his life. He was that kind of a soldier. I think he was, serious and had a real serious, quiet command. My mom was a fighter, and she taught me a lot because we would fight a lot, she and I, growing up. So I was tough to begin with.
You are from Jersey. You are from Jersey. So.
I am a Jersey girl. I am.
John wants to know what exit you're from in Jersey.
Tell him number 4.
Right on.
Pass all that shore traffic, baby.
Now, did you have any experience whatsoever before jumping into this?
Absolutely not.
So
no, of course not.
It was 100% on the job training.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So if you would tell somebody right now who's just now tuning into the show, they're driving, and all, by the way, we get a lot of people call, "Hey, I found your show by accident." We're pretty used to that phrase by now. But if somebody just said they just turned on, they couldn't believe this is a show for caregivers, and they're dealing with this right now where they're getting blowback or anger or whatever from parents, and they're having to just jump in with both feet. You've been there. You know what that's like. Tell me what you would want to tell what that person would be so helpful for them right now. I mean, today, that they can incorporate in their life.
The first thing I would tell them is to slow down. You don't have to be perfect. We're not perfect. We're human. There's no such thing as a perfect caregiver. Take it easy. Keep it simple. Just slow down. There's a huge learning curve for everybody, and you don't have to do it all at once. I jumped in, I jumped in so fast and tried to take everything over and try to do it all. And, my parents were overwhelmed that my dad said, "Soupy, slow down. You can't just come in here and take over everything." I mean, they have feelings too. We all have feelings, and you just have to sort of read the room.
A friend of mine once said, we move in a family, we move at the speed of our slowest member. And we caregivers tend to be what I call high functioning multitaskers. I mean, we can rock and roll. And you and I were talking earlier before the show, and you were listening. I had an Amazon delivery at the house. The dog was barking. I was making tea for Gracie. I was packing up my stuff, and I was doing all this on Bluetooth, and you're hearing all this clatter going. I said, "What is this guy doing? Beating on pots and pans?" But that's the way our life is as a caregiver, and slowing down is a big part of our challenges because we want to hurry up and keep it all from flying apart. And I guess you've learned the hard way. I'm not guessing. I know you've learned the hard way. It's going to fly apart no matter what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I had somebody said recently to me, I don't know how to make this decision whether to go left or to go right because I feel guilty. I said, hold the phone. I said, you're going to feel guilty no matter what happens. So slow it down, look at the pros and cons, and make a good decision. If it's the wrong one, you'll change it. We're so hard on ourselves, We try to be perfect caregivers, and there ain't no thing like a perfect caregiver.
Right. And I have shared that with more people. And on this show, we judge ourselves by our performance, which if we're going to be fair, let's judge ourselves also by our attendance, because our attendance is perfect. Whether it's our performance is not, that's not an issue because you're right. We're never going to get it right, but we keep showing up. And that's
Absolutely.
worth something. That's valuable. All right, now let me ask you. I'm the crash test dummy of caregivers. I've had ample time to make pretty much every kind of mistake you can make. What are some big I've got a book coming out this fall called 7 Caregiver Landmines and How You Can Avoid Them. What's a big landmine for you that you found there's like, oh man, I got to stay away from that? What's a big landmine, a big mistake area, big heartache area, whatever, that you just look back and say, oh, dude, that's a hard thing for me to learn or whatever?
Well, two things came to mind immediately. One was that I didn't slow down and enjoy every minute. That back to this whole thing we're talking about. Slowing down, I got in there and I had to fix everything right away and try to hold everything, and I missed time. I missed time with my mom. I missed time with my dad. Sometimes I was so busy trying to get the doctor on the phone or get that next appointment or make sure the pills were right when I could have just sat and held somebody's hand a little more. You know what I mean? So that was a landmark for me to really, really tell myself, Suzanne, please slow down and hang in there with them, because when they're gone, you're going to look back and say, damn, I wish I had really spent more time. And the other landmark for me was not respecting not easing into it enough and not respecting my loved ones' need to feel that they had control over parts of their lives.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You gotta read the room. I keep saying you gotta read the room. I've taken care of other family members also, and sometimes we don't let people be, and we don't let them be who they need to be, and we try to change them or change the circumstance.
Well, those are. I concur with those a lot. I love that we don't read the room. We're so busy trying to fix it. And I think a lot of that's, for me, it was driven by fear. If I don't do this thing is really going to spin out of control. And that fear would cause a manicness in me. Did it have the same approach with you?
Oh, absolutely. So much of what I did was based on fear. I mean, I would wake up in a panic at 2 a.m. every night. I mean, there's so much fear. And one of the gifts of caregiving for me was to face a lot of that fear. Caregiving gave me a self-awareness that I needed desperately. I dug down into myself to find out why I was acting the way I was acting. Forget my parents, forget my other loved ones. Why was I acting that way?
Mm. And
it was because I was frightened or scared. Stop it. Really rethink that.
Well, I get that. Well, listen, we're almost out of time, so I want to make sure I give folks information on how to get in touch with you. Your website is caregiverwarrior.com, caregiverwarrior.com. Your blog is considered one of the top 50 blogs of this subject out there. I just admire you. I admire the work you're doing. I appreciate you. You've logged in enough time at this so that you're seasoned, you really know what you're talking about, and you're an advocate and you're passionate about this in a way that few, I think, are. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and to talk about this.
Peter, it's an honor. I feel the same way about you. I think that getting these concepts out and talking about our feelings and talking about what we go through as caregivers is so extraordinary important, because caregivers tend to isolate, and I think no one can talk to a caregiver like another caregiver.
And
so thank you so much for your work.
Well, you're quite welcome. You and I speak fluent caregiver, and that's why I do the show. That's why this show exists, is to reach those folks in that isolation. They can't get out. We're going to bring it to you. We're going to bring you stories from other folks like Suzanne who have really done it. She's done the work. She knows the journey. And this is good stuff that she offered you today. I hope you'll take advantage of this. This is Suzanne White, caregiverwarrior.com. Suzanne, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. And hey, part of being a caregiver, by the way, is getting a good night's rest. And I got to tell y'all something. This is kind of cool. If you go to mypillow.com, try it. mypillow.com. You've seen the guy do it. Mike Lindell. By the way, I could do a Mike Lindell, John. mypillow.com.
Are you sure you want to?
I can talk like Mike Lindell. mypillow.com. But if you go to mypillow.com and type in the word caregiver for the promo code caregiver, I'm not kidding, 50% off of the 4-pack. They got the 2 and the 2 travel ones. I've got these pillows. You know what? They're good stuff. They are good pillows, John. And they make great pillow fight pillows too. No, I'm just kidding. They're good. Gracie has one. I have one. And you can too. MyPillow.com. Type in the word caregiver for a promo code. Hey, don't go away. We got more to go. The number is 877-655-6755. We will be right back.
Just hold on loosely, but don't let it go. If you play too tightly, you're gonna lose control.
You know, I've always loved that song, John. 38 Special.
I knew you loved 38 Special.
I think that thing came out when I was in junior high.
Well,
It came out before you were born.
this is true. I know that there's several bands, not just for you specifically, but just like your demographic in general. I don't want to insult you,
Democratic.
but I'm gonna. So, but like Rush always works.
Yes,
yeah.
it does.
It's like it's just I know what's up because these are things that I like too.
Well, and I appreciate your tenderness at talking about
Aw.
my demographic. Hey, listen, welcome back to the show For Caregivers, about caregivers, hosted by a caregiver. I'm Peter Rosenberger, bringing you 3 decades of experience as a caregiver. And I got to say something here. This Thursday will be our 32nd anniversary. 32 years.
Happy anniversary!
Happy
guys.
anniversary, Gracie. 32 years. And we actually, last week in Fort Walton, we went down there, we went out to Destin. That's where we got a picture of the 2 of us in front of the church where we were married 32 years ago. And we've crammed a lot into 32 years. I mean, we have put a lot. You know, when I met Gracie, she had 20 surgeries, roughly, and that we could count. And now she's up to 80. Both of her legs were amputated during this time, and not a day without pain. But she has not only brought 2 amazing young men into the world. We have a grandson, and our second grandson will be born hopefully by the end of this month, the 1st of September.
Is this something I knew about?
I don't think you did. I guess
Nope.
I didn't tell you,
Nope.
but yeah, we're going to have another grandson.
Okay, so you're just gonna drop that on me and walk away like
I'm not,
nothing happened.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk away. I'm just, but
Okay.
it's you know, nobody thought she would live, much less, you know, have children, much less see her grandchildren. And now and then the day after our anniversary, we're going to Africa, and she's going to go back over there and demonstrate that she will boast all the more gladly in her weakness, so that Christ's power may rest upon her, as it says in 2 Corinthians 12:9. And I could not be more proud of her and what she's accomplished. And she has stuck it out with me. And she had her car wreck. I've had my train wreck, you know, and so we got a lot of scars between the 2 of us, but 32 years, 32 years. That's quite an accomplishment in this day and age.
Absolutely.
And so happy anniversary, baby. Let me go over what we have on our review for today here. Our first tip, our caregiver tip of the day, was to, you know, take a leap of faith.
All right, Kierkegaard.
Kierkegaard. Take a leap of faith that there may be something going on in your circumstances, however painful it is, that is being used in a profound way. And there were many hospital rooms that I've stood in with Gracie as she groaned and cried out in pain, or went into seizures, or went into respiratory arrest. And there's just been so much heartache we've had in our 32 years. But I cannot help but just step back and look that this show now is the largest show for family caregivers in the world. There's nothing even close to what we're doing. And then we're going to Africa to put legs on our fellow amputees. We don't do this because we're so qualified. We do this because the one we put our faith in is so qualified. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Just take a tiny step of faith to realize that there may be something going on with your situation that is being woven into the fabric of God's story and his purposes that you can't see. But you will. But you will. And that's 3 decades of experience telling you that. And our second tip for our today's senior moment was not quite as spiritual, but it was get your teeth worked on. Go see your dentist. Practice regular dental care. That's something you can do today. Every one of us could brush our teeth and floss our teeth and make an appointment with the dentist. Okay? It protects your heart. Hey, look, we could use your help on Standing with Hope. There's still time to get involved. If you can't go with us, you could send those who do. We need some supplies and so forth that we're going to have to buy this week. standingwithhope.com. Need your help today. Maybe $25, maybe $50, maybe $500, whatever's on your heart. But standingwithhope.com. If this show has been a blessing to you, if you want to be a part of what we're doing, send us. And let's go give the gift that keeps on walking. Let's keep lifting others up for the wounded and for those who care for them. That's our mission, standingwithhope.com. Would you go out today and take a look at it and see how you can be a part of it? We're going to try to do the show live next week from Africa. I can't promise, but we're going to try. Hope to see you then. This is Peter Rosenberger. Go to standingwithhope.com for more, and we'll see you next week.